Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. My name is Leah, and I will be your host for today. And with me is one of the Reader's Magnet's featured author. And yes, today she will be sharing to us what this book is all about, her as an author, and of course, what inspired her to write this book. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Miss Alice Munyua, author of the book what really makes people sick. All right. Hello, Alice. It's good to see you. Such a beautiful woman. Wow. How are
Thank
you?
you. I am wonderful. Thank,
Wow.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor for us as well to have you here. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you so much, Alice. So, yes, Alice, of course, this is the moment we've been waiting for because, of course, it's now time to, tackle more information about your book and the journey behind it. But before we do that, of course, we wanted to know who Miss Alice Munoa is. So, yes, a little bit of self introduction, please.
Okay. So as you had, my name is Alice Munyua. I was born in Kenya and I moved to the US in the 80s, late 80s. I went into the nursing profession and now I work as a nurse practitioner and mental health is my love.
Mm.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Alice. Wow, interesting. And yes, also, Alice, I believe that your book is also connected with your experience. So, of course, yes, we wanted to know more about that. And from the title itself, what really makes people sick? This is very captivating. Of course, we wanted to know why people always get sick. So, yes, will you please let us know what this book is all about?
Okay, so this book is about why people get sick. And into the book, I go about talking about acute illnesses like your common colds and what causes that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I very quickly transition to chronic diseases. What causes that and what prevents healing? So that's what the book is all about. And I go into six different categories of why people get sick. Number
Mm-hmm.
one is lifestyle. The
Okay.
second one, yeah, the second one is our thoughts. Who would
Mm.
think that our thoughts can actually make us sick? The third one is diseases from within, like emotional issues, emotional dysregulation. And then the last part is diseases from the other side. Now, that one, most people are not familiar with, but my personal testimony actually inspired that.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, that's interesting, Alice. And you know what? I really like how the book, tells or let's say advocating for a specific cause and agenda, especially when it comes to really knowing or at least, giving the people the idea on what's the reason behind people get sick. It's not just limited to getting, the simple cough and colds, the diseases that we have, but at the same time, it's also connected in how we think, we act emotionally, physically, mentally. Wow, that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
can you tell us more about that, Alice? I mean, yes, what inspired you to write this book? How did you start?
Okay, so it's a really long story. And
Okay.
my journey started after I had my two kids. I gained a lot of weight. And
Mm-hmm.
then after 15 years of culling this way, and I wasn't like a beige eater or emotional eater. I ate actually healthy, but I could not lose the weight. And it took 15 years to actually lose that weight. And that day came sometime in 2013. Then people started asking me, how did you do it? Can you teach us how to do this? So I started teaching. And actually, that inspired my first book. So altogether, I have 13 books, and this is number 12. The one that we are discussing today is number 12. So they started coming to me, asking me, how did you lose the weight? And I started teaching them, but they were not getting the same results as I had hoped for and as I knew they could get. So that then I started digging a little bit deeper. I was asking,
Mm.
why did I lose the weight and they're not getting the same results? And I'm teaching them the same things that I did. But there was something I wasn't conscious about. I was not conscious about the reason, the real reason why I lost the weight. And for my part, It was lack of sleep. Lack of sleep is what was making me gain all that weight. And
Whoa.
something had happened in 2012 where my schedule was now very hectic. I could sleep, I could have time to cook at home, time to exercise, and that was the secret, and especially sleep. That was the secret. Now, this, I did not know this until I started digging deeper. After writing my first book, and try to teach people how to get healthier and lose weight, and they were not getting the same results. So I started digging, and I was like, there has to be something else. And so I started going into the world of mental health, how the mind works, how our thoughts work, how stress affects us. And stress is a big one. and
Exactly. Totally agree
yeah,
on that.
yeah. And stress actually, it's not something we can touch. It's a feeling. So what is causing that? So that I started investigating that, and before I knew it, something happened. There was a
Mm.
trauma, some kind of trauma happened, and this was now back in 2017, like sometime in April of 2017. I witnessed trauma that happened to somebody else, not even me, but it affected
Mhm.
me emotionally. 6 weeks into dealing with that trauma, I started losing sleep. Again, I cannot sleep. And before I knew it, I was actually in a mental health hospital. Now that's
Whoa.
huge. But the whole time, I knew how the mind worked and I knew what was wrong, but I could not explain it to anybody. So I ended up being diagnosed with bipolar type 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed in the hospital for 9 days. The whole time, I knew what was wrong. The only thing I did not have was I could not tell anybody what was going on
Mm-hmm.
with me. But I started writing. At this point now, I'm writing my third book. And actually,
Exactly.
my
Mm-hmm.
third book is called Bipolar on the Throes of the Wild Kingdom. So that book was written in the hospital. When I went home, all I needed
Wow.
to do was type it. But there was some mistakes that were made. I was diagnosed with bipolar type 1. A month later, they changed it to PTSD, which was closer to what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
then
yeah, with the trauma.
then 2 months later, they changed it to acute stress disorder. But I have to tell you, the
Mm-hmm.
stress was so, so bad that I
Yeah,
could
so
not, yeah,
the
I could not,
progress is there.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could not control it. And being a nurse, I knew all the coping skills. I knew what we had taught the patients,
Mm-hmm.
prior. And I was applying all that, and nothing was working. But now, what inspired this book, what really makes people sick, was that diagnosis. Diagnosis of bipolar, and then a
Mm-hmm.
month later, it's being changed to PTSD. 2 months later, it's being changed to acute stress disorder. And actually, that came close to the
Mm-hmm.
problem, but they still did not nail the problem on the head. What I was going through, if I had to do my own diagnosis, because I do have mental health background,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was acute psychosis. That's what I was going
Mm.
through. And part of the
And that is
reason why
something very serious.
it
Mm-hmm.
very, very serious. I cannot even begin to tell you how serious it is because my family got scared by some of the things I was doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I was not aggressive and I wasn't trying to harm anyone. But the things I was doing were not making any sense to anybody except me.
Mm.
They were
Right,
making
right.
sense to me, but not to anybody else. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got out, I was like, somehow I have to tell people this. So that's what started this journey. What really makes people sick? And I was able to break down, what causes a common cold, what
Mm-hmm.
causes asthma, what causes high blood pressure, what causes mental illness. So there you go.
Wow. I mean, this is such an interesting topic, Alice, especially that right now, this is one of the things that's very important. That's, what's going on right now with our society,
Mhm.
especially, we might not know that there's someone out there who also needs to hear this, you
Yes.
know, especially
Mhm.
those, people who's really afraid to open up when it comes to sharing their problems,
Mhm.
do not does not know who would be the right people to talk with, sharing their experience. And right now you're already doing it, and I'm so proud of you for doing this, because at the same time, Alice, you're already helping the
Yeah.
people out there. The
Yeah.
book is really advocating for a specific cause and agenda, and here this is very important, to really know why people always get sick,
Yeah.
and just like what you mentioned earlier, people may experience sickness due to a variety of factors, including, yes, the unresolved emotional trauma, the
Mhm.
lack of purpose or connection with someone,
Yeah.
the disconnection from one's, let's say, values or beliefs, the stresses. It can really contribute to a sense of emphasizing the need of for self-reflection, just like what you mentioned earlier, that you're
Mhm.
also having a hard time to really um expressing yourself towards someone,
Mhm.
because there are things that's already happening that you're the only person who understands it, the
Yeah.
connection, the personal growth to restore really this kind of well-being. And wow, I mean, I'm also curious about your whole journey, Alice, because there might be some emotional triggers, while jotting down notes, creating this. Now, how did you manage that? And right now,
Mm.
knowing that your book is already a successful creation, you've been getting a lot of positive feedback,
Yeah.
good
Mhm.
reviews from
Thank
your readers. You really helped a lot. So I'm very curious, how did you manage that? 'Cause there must be some emotional triggers going back to the past, the experience. So yeah, can you tell us more about that?
So yeah, the emotional triggers are definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really can tell what they are except the person who is experiencing them. So for
Right.
me, yeah, I knew what the triggers were, and I knew what was causing it. But I needed somebody who was gonna just hear my story without judging me. So,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and
Knowing who the right people to talk to. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and throughout that story, that was not my experience. Even the doctor that I
And that
saw,
was hard.
it was hard because part of the reason why they came up with that diagnosis is I was not telling them everything.
Mm-hmm.
And because I knew there was not that trust issue. The trust issue was not there. And I could tell. So when I talk to people, I always tell people, especially their medical providers, because I
Mm-hmm.
am a medical provider, I tell them
Mm-hmm.
you need to have a good rapport with your patient so they can be
Exactly.
honest with you and tell
Right.
you really what's going on. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. So this is where how you also did come up on how to maintain a good health physically, mentally,
Yeah.
and I believe that this is also connects with the with your spiritual being, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So
Wow, that's
what
good,
I
Alice.
went, yeah, what I went through, in hindsight, I don't think I could have prevented it. I think it was meant to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
but it turned out to be a good thing for me. I would never want to go through that again, but I appreciate the experience because now I'm able
Wow.
to help. Yeah, now I can help someone. And
Mm-hmm.
prior to that,
Exactly.
prior to going through that, I could not. So I can help somebody going through suicidal ideations or
Mm-hmm.
suicidal thoughts. I know exactly where they're coming from and I know
Mm-hmm.
how they can be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
stuff like that. And you're right. You did mention the spiritual part.
Mm-hmm.
So diseases from the other side. In the book I call it diseases from the flip side, because the flip side and the other side are the synonymous. They're the same. They're actually spiritually rooted
Mm.
because, yeah, as a human being, and I don't know that most people know this, but human beings are not just physical bodies, you know? We have a mind and we have a spirit. So we operate on three levels: the
Mm-hmm.
physical, the mental, and the emotional kind of work together, and then the
Mm-hmm. Right.
spiritual. Yeah. So
Yes.
my issue, what I was going through was actually spiritual.
Mm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, and I knew that. I knew that, but I could not explain it to anybody because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something I had never gone through something like that before, but it was spiritual. And my faith and
Was also
prayer,
tested. Mm-hmm.
it was absolutely tested. But I had because I knew it was spiritual, I knew faith was gonna be a big factor in my
Mm-hmm.
healing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was
Right.
going to get better, number one, because your belief system also plays into it. When you're going
Exactly.
through it, what do you believe? Do you believe this is the end of you? Do you believe you're going to get better? So belief it's a big thing. And belief
Mm-hmm.
and faith kind of go together. And then prayer on top of it.
Yes. Wow, that's nice. And I really like how you showed in this book, Alice, instead of just focusing on the negative side of your experiences, at the same time, again, helping the people out there to get up, get back on track. You know what to do, you know who the people to call, and this is how you maintain a good health physically, mental, and spirituality. And the main to really, let's say, maintain a good health physically, mentally, and spiritually, it would also adopt, like, let's say, a holistic approach that includes the regular exercise you mentioned earlier, the balanced diet,
Mhm.
reflection, or let's say being a part of a community or
Yeah,
activities that would resonate with
yeah,
your values and beliefs. Additionally,
absolutely. Mhm.
it can really, set personal goals,
Mhm.
seek continuous learning on how we can ensure healthy
Yeah,
work-life balance to support overall well-being. That is,
yes,
that's very important for us.
yeah.
Wow, you really showed it in this book, Alice, and I'm wow, this is just so amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. And also,
Yeah.
Alice, of course, before we end our session, we
Mhm.
wanted to know if you have, any message to our viewers out there, or what are the key points you wanted your readers to take away with your book.
Wow, that's a great question. So,
Mm-hmm.
with my book, I want people to know how the body works. So, in that book, I go into how the body works on those physical and mental and spiritual level, on all three levels. So, I want people to know how that works. And I also want, if believe if somebody is taking a pill, infusions, drugs, you can heal because that means something in your body is lacking. And if you went after the root cause, because that's what I had to do in my situation, I had to go after the root cause. You can heal. The third thing is personal responsibility. When it comes to faith and belief and your prayer and whatever else you have to do spiritually, nobody can do it for you. Your doctor cannot do it for you. It's like it's like going to the bathroom. Nobody can do it for you. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you also have to help yourself. You have to do your part. Wow, I totally agree on
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that, Alice. Thank you
Okay.
so much. And of course, Alice, yes, thank you so much for gracing with us today. And to our viewers out there, if you wanted to know more information about the journey of Alice and the story of her story, and at the same time the book itself, so this is going to be your best time to grab a copy. And yes, this book is available on Amazon.com and also Barnes and Noble. And in the near future, yes, Alice's website will be available very, very soon.
Yes.
So of course, Alice, we're looking forward to that as well. Thank you so much. And
Mhm.
everyone, again, this is our author, Miss Alice Munyua, author of the book What Really Makes People Sick. And Alice, thank you so much. And again, as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.